Kushila, Honorable Daniels, I do have a request to add to your Amendment 1. Intech reached out. They're going to have a work session, and RDC is invited at Albuquerque on March 29, so travel will be on 28th. It'll start at 8 o'clock a.m. If it's okay with you, Honorable Daniels, do you concur?
Mr. Chair, I'll be here. I concur.
Okay. Honorable Stewart, do you concur? Honorable Stewart?
Yes, Chair. I concur.
Okay, thank you. And we're on Amendment 1. And we have a work session request with Cypress Amax, Lydell Davies, and that'll be G. H will be RDC in-person meeting at Monument Valley. I will be Intech work session at Albuquerque, March 29 at 8 a.m. So, any questions on this?
Chairman,
Freeland?
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you for the motion party. I love the second. Just to talk a little bit about what my brother brought up, Key Allen Begay as well. Yesterday we did meet with our Utah lobbyists, and we're going to ask for a joint RDC state task force meeting for the road project between Oljeto and Navajo Mountain. And we asked our lobbyists to bring down four senators that were on the appropriations that didn't pass this. We want them to see this for themselves. And so we're going to set that up and work with RDC on a joint state task force and RDC meeting. So that's going to be the ask. So we'll come back and try to get that on the calendar as well. And then I appreciate this discussion as well, and Chairman, what you had spoke of and what my brother brought up too. And I have 8 chapters, Shanata, and I have 8 planning meetings, and I have 8 chapter meetings a month. And then I have my RDC responsibilities, which is priority, and then state task force, and then Nabakia ticket and council. And I do my best to stay up, and it's hard sometimes, yes. I tell my chapters it's like having 8 children. I can't treat one more than the other. You have to treat them equally, Even my home chapter, Crown Point, I can't favor one over the other. I treat them equally. But I do make my planning meetings, and I do make my chapter meetings. I try to balance out as much as I can with my work schedule. It's not easy. Sometimes it's overwhelming. Sometimes I have to be on 3 calls at once, and it's hard, yes, but the hybrid does help. And if we're able to call in, it does help. I do my best to focus on certain matters, whether they're policy or other matters. So I just want to encourage you, my colleagues, as well, to continue to always do your best. I know we all are, but continue to always do your best and always strive for the benefits of our Navajo people. And I tell my chapters as well, this is a great experience for each of us, but we have to remind ourselves, Hela, who are the beneficiaries of the work that we do? Who reaps the rewards? And, there's something for us to consider as well, Shanata. But God bless you, and God bless our great Navajo Nation. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Honorable Freeland. Any other comments or questions? We're on Amendment 1. Okay, Mr. Tahi.
Chairman, under new business 7C, legislation 0045-22, this legislation needs to be held in executive session. So if we can make that notation on the proposed agenda, that would be great. Back to you, Chairman.
Thank you for that, Mr. Tahi. We'll make a note of that. Honorable Daniels, within your Amendment 1, we have a request on legislation 0045-22. that we go into executive session at that time. Do you concur?
Yes, Mr. Chair, yes.
Thank you. Honorable Stewart,
Yes.
Akoshila. Any other comments or questions? None? On the amendment. Honorable Daniels and Honorable Stewart, seconds. Honorable Vice Chair Walker, how do you vote?
Chairman, I vote green.
Thank you. Honorable Begay,
Chairman Gale votes green. Thank you.
thank you. Honorable Daniels,
Green.
thank you. Honorable Freeland,
Green.
thank you. Honorable Stewart,
Green.
thank you. We have a vote of 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Chair not voting. Motion carries on Amendment 1. Back to the main motion, Shananta. Any comments or questions? I hear none.
Chairman Freeland.
Honorable Freeland,
Chairman, I'm sorry. What date was it for Mama Valley?
we haven't set a date until we get to that area. Mr. Tahi will give us some dates.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments or questions on the main motion? I hear none. Honorable Vice Chair Walker, how do you vote, sir?
Vote green.
Thank you. Honorable Begay,
Chairman Gale votes green. Thank you.
thank you. Honorable Daniels,
Green.
thank you. Honorable Freeland,
Green.
thank you. Honorable Stewart,
Green.
thank you. We have a vote of 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Chair not voting. Motion carries. We have an approved agenda before us. And number 4, reviewing and approving journals. Journals from February 25, 2022, March 2, 2022, regular meeting, as well as a special meeting on March 2, 2022. We would like to have a motion and a second.
Chairman, I motion.
Thank you, Honorable Vice Chair Walker. Second,
Freeland.
Honorable Freeland. Thank you. Any comments or questions on these journals? I hear none. Honorable Vice Chair Walker, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Thank you. Honorable Begay,
Chairman Gale votes green. Thank you.
thank you. Honorable Daniels,
Green.
thank you. Thank you. Honorable Freeland,
Green.
thank you. Honorable Stewart,
Green.
thank you. We have a vote of 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Chair not voting. Motion carries for approving the journals. And we're on number 5, receiving reports. Is there a motion to suspend the floor rules to go to new business?
Chairman, I make that motion.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Vice Chair Walker. Second by
Stewart.
Honorable Stewart. Thank you. Any comments, questions? None? Honorable Vice Chair Walker, how do you vote?
Chair, I vote green.
Thank you. Honorable Begay,
Chairman Gale votes green.
thank you. Honorable Daniels,
Green.
thank you. Honorable Freeland,
Green.
Honorable Stewart,
Green.
thank you. We have a vote of 5 in favor, 0 opposed, chair not voting. Motion carries to suspend the floor rules and go to new business. Shinant Anna Finnegy. We're at number 7. First legislation is under A 0042-22. Honorable Speaker Damon, are you on the call, sir? Going twice. Honorable Speaker Damon, going 3 times. Next will be B, legislation 0043-22. Honorable Stewart is on the call. Mr. Tahi, could you read this into the record, please?
Chair, members of RDC, you have legislation summary tracking number 0043-22, date March 3rd, 2022, regarding an act relating to resource and development, budget and finance, and Navajo committees, and to the Navajo Council approving $437,947 out of the CISA Sun Fund to purchase a new mortar grader for Sawmill Chapter and to purchase a new backhoe for Red Lake Chapter, approving the related expenditure plans pursuant to 12 NNC Section 2501 through 2508. Purpose: to approve $437,947 out of the CISA Sun Fund to purchase the grader for Sawmill Chapter and a backhoe for Red Lake Chapter. Chair, members of RDC, Wilson C. Stewart Jr. is the sponsor of this legislation. Navajo Nation Council has final authority over this legislation, will be read into the record in its entirety. This is tracking number 0043-22, an act relating to resource and development, budget and finance committee, and non-becate committees, and to the Navajo Nation Council, approving $437,947 out of the CISA Sun Fund to purchase a new mortar grader for Sawmill Chapter and to purchase a new backhoe for Red Lake Chapter, approving the related expenditure plans pursuant to 12 NNC Section 2501 through 2508. Section 1 lists the authority. Section 2, the findings, which includes Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C, and Exhibit D. In Section 3, it's approving the $437,947 out of the CISA Sun Fund for the purchase of the vehicle and related equipment for Sawmill Chapter and Red Lake Chapter, and approving the related expenditure plan. It referenced Exhibit A and Exhibit B, Exhibit C, and Exhibit D. And Section 4 is the effective date, and then Section 5 is the savings clause. Attached to the legislation 0043-22 is Exhibit A, which is the Sawmill Chapter Resolution SAW-13-2021-02. Attaches Exhibit B, which is the quotations. Attaches Exhibit C is the Red Lake Chapter Resolution of Red Lake Chapter number 18, resolution number CRLC-08-21-34. Attaches Exhibit D, which is the quotes. Then you have the first report, the Legislative Branch Internet Public Review Summary for legislation number 0043-22, sponsored Honorable Wilson C. Stewart Jr. This legislation was posted on March 3rd, 2022 at 6:23 p.m. The 5-day comment period ended March 8th, 2022. There was 2 comments supporting this legislation, no comments opposing this legislation, and no comments or recommendation on this legislation. The first comment supporting this legislation was Jerome Mustache. The second comment was from Liberta Mustache. Their comments was emailed, and they were both received on Friday, March 4th, 2022 at 6:07 p.m. Chair, members of RDC, that is legislation number 0043-22 read into the record. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tahi, for reading it into the record. Honorable members of RDC, let's have a motion and a second.
Chairman Kellen,
Thank you, Honorable Begay. Second,
Chairman, I
Freeland.
second.
Honorable Vice Chair Walker. Thank you. Shanand, aye. This legislation goes on to Budget and Finance Committee, Navigia Committee, and the full Navajo Nation Council. So before I hand over the time to Honorable Stewart, do you have any questions? Going twice.
Chairman Freeland.
Okay. Honorable Stewart, do you identify your agents? Honorable Stewart?
Yes, I'm Chair. I'm here. My agents would be Division of Community Development, Dr. Yellowman, and also the chapter coordinators for each chapter of Red Lake and Sawmill. But right now, we have Dr. Yellowman on the line, and these heavy equipments that we're requesting for today and at this time are based off of the legislation that was previously passed through the Nomination Council for the heavy equipment to be purchased for the chapters. These two chapters missed out on that legislation at the time, and they didn't submit their documents. Therefore, they're requesting now to get these, and that's in between. We were working with NDOT and NECA as well. We were working with NDOT and NECA as well to assist us with the roads and with the burials. And also Division of Community Development was helping at the time as well. They do have some equipment. They did have some equipment, but through time and age, they have deteriorated, and they're doing the best that they can with what they got. So right now, that's why they're requesting for these again to replace that former equipment that they have, especially with the sawmill has never had a grader. Red Lake did have a backhoe at one time. Sawmill does have a backhoe, which is old at this time. So they want to slowly upgrade, and that's what they're working on right now. So that's why we're requesting for these. And that's what I want to say thus far to this legislation, Chairman and Shania Kedosh and staff on this legislation. I left out anything. If any questions, then we can ask Dr. Yellowman for some assistance as well. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay. Dr. Yellowman, would you add anything to the presentation? None. Hakushila, honorable members of RDC. Let me go to Honorable Freeland. Honorable Freeland.
Chairman, sorry, I was on mute. I was talking away. Here, should auto for your chapter's request as well. You did answer my first question. I was going to ask if this was a part of the original citizen legislation that Speaker Damon dropped as well. And I just wanted to let you know, I do support your legislation, yes. But I'm also working on a legislation with community development and with Dana, on an extension. If these projects were, or these heavy equipments were listed originally on the original legislation, the one that Speaker dropped, the legislation is going to ask for an extension for all those heavy equipments that haven't been purchased yet. We of course are in the midst of a pandemic, but a lot of our challenges that community development was facing was regarding purchasing or procurement. There has been and there still is a worldwide shortage of chips, and this affected the procurement process that DCD was facing. There was issues as far as vehicles having to be ordered
and then having to go through procurement process as well. So those were the challenges that we face. And unfortunately, sometimes our process works against us as well. And I mentioned the procurement. In that case, sometimes it did. And I have chapters that didn't get some stuff as well, but wanted to let you know that little brother, Talieja, that of course I'll support it, but as a backup, this could be something that you might want to maybe include or keep in the back of your mind too, that if this extension goes through, we can look forward to that as well. So thank you.
Honorable Freeland, did you ask a question?
Yeah, I did. I wanted to let him know that if he's okay with that too, or if he's aware of that, of the extension.
Okay, thank you. Honorable Stewart, you may respond with your agents.
Question Chairman Shanai, Mark about I was not aware of that possibility to do that, but yes, if that is a possibility to add these on as a backup, yes, I would move in that direction as well with it, to make sure that these chapters at least try to get something and seek all avenues out for them to get the assistance that they're asking for the community members and for the chapter itself, knowing that it's not only just clear weather that we're dealing with, but we have the 4 seasons that we deal with throughout the year. So thank you for that recommendation, Shanai. And I don't know if Dr. Yeoman has anything to add on that one, Shanai, Chairman.
Thank you. Dr. Yellowman?
Good morning, Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, honorable members of RDC, and thank you, Delegate Stewart. Under the heavy equipment legislation, we had great momentum. As everyone or people know, that was leadership knows that was original list came from CS 73-20 from the CARES Act. So some of the chapters, many of the chapters had an option or time to produce their listing. There was a local chapter leadership transition, and there was some changes to some of those original requests. So we were still able to move forward. We've been trying our best to coordinate with the chapters, but we did come across some challenges. Some of the challenges were there were some chip shortages throughout the nation. There were some steel shortages throughout the nation. And as such, some of the price changes have occurred as well. So some of those original quotes that were submitted in 2020 have changed and increased. And there have been some chapters that have made adjustments or changes to their original listing too. So we have been working with OMB and OOC to revisit an extension to the legislation. The NABIS legislation has 2 deadlines in there. We've came across one of the deadlines for the heavy equipment, and we're working with the sponsor, Delegate Freeland, on that. And we hope to work closely with the other chapters that have come across some challenges on price increases for the original quote submitted, the chip shortages, and the steel increase and shortage. So we do still have a team dedicated to that, and we want to make sure that all the chapters receive some type of equipment. So, Chair, that's all I want to add. We appreciate the conversation and legislation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Honorable members of RDC, any other comments or questions? I hear none. Samantha, we'll go ahead and put it to a vote. Honorable Vice Chair Walker, how do you vote?
Chairman, I vote green.
Thank you. Honorable Begay?
Chairman Kellen votes green. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Daniels?
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Freeland?
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Stewart?
Green.
Thank you. We have a vote of 5 in favor, 0 opposed, chair not voting, motion carries. Legislation 0043-22. Thank you, Sitzela. Honorable Stewart.
Chairman Hira, thank you. And Dr. Yelman, thank you.
Kushila, I'm moving down to C. Legislation 0045-22. Honorable Vice Chair Walker is the sponsor and he's present. Mr. Tahi, could you read this into the record? And then when the motion is made, main motion, after that, we'll have a main motion for executive session. Mr. Tahi?
Chair members of RDC, you have legislation summary tracking number 0045-22, date March 2nd, 2022. An act relating to resource and development, budget and finance and nominating committees, and to Navajo Nation Council approving $4 million from the unreserved undesignated fund balance for a Navajo Nation Department of Justice water right litigation unit to continue litigation and protect the Navajo Nation's water rights, waiving 12 NNC Section 820E, Section 820F, Section 820J, and Section 820L. Purpose: to approve $4 million from the UUFB for DOJ to continue litigating the nation's water rights, and waiving 12 NNC Section 820E, Section 820F, Section 820J, and Section 820L to allow the UUFB to be used for recurring government expenses. Chair members of RDC, Navajo Nation Council has final authority over this legislation, which we read into the record. The sponsor of this legislation is Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. for tracking number 0045-22, an act relating to resource and development, budget and finance and nominating committees, and to the Navajo Nation Council, approving $4 million from the unreserved undesignated fund balance for the Navajo Nation Department of Justice water right litigation unit to continue litigating it and protecting the Navajo Nation's water right, waiving 12 NNC Section 820E, Section 820F, Section 820J, and Section 820L. Section 1 lists the authority. Section 2 lists the findings, which includes letter J. The Attorney General and DOJ water rights litigation units have submitted a memorandum explaining the confidential nature of all documents, and DOJ has provided in support of its UUFP request, which includes Exhibit 1, and pursuant to 2 NNC Section 164A6 and Section 1964G, the Attorney General has designated all such document as confidential, and such documents shall not be publicly released. It also includes Exhibit 2, Exhibit 3, Exhibit 4, Exhibit 5. In Section 3 is the approval of the $4 million out of the UUFB for the DOJ water rights litigation unit. Section 4 is waiving 12 NNC Section 820E, Section 820F, Section 820J, and Section 820L. And Section 5 is the effective date, and Section 6 is the savings clause. Attaches also the memorandum dated January 26, 2022. The subjects exhibit for docs 017837, proposal legislation seeking FY 2022 supplementary funding for the water rights units. To Dana Barbaroff, Chief Legislative Counsel, from Doreen N. McPaul, Attorney General. Attach or Exhibit 2, which is confidential. Attaches Exhibit 3, which is confidential. Attaches Exhibit A, marked confidential. Attaches Exhibit B, confidential. Attaches Exhibit C, marked confidential. Attaches Exhibit D, marked confidential. Attaches Exhibit 4, confidential. attached as Exhibit 5 confidential. In members of RDC, you have the first legislative summary, internet public summary for legislation number 0045-22, sponsored Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. This legislation was posted on March 3rd, 2022 at 6:32 p.m. The 5-day comment period ended March 8th, 2022. There was no comment supporting this legislation. There was no comments opposing this legislation. There was no comments or recommendation on this legislation. Chair members of RDC, that is legislation 0045-22 read into the record. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Tahi. Honorable members of RDC, let's have a motion and a second.
Chairman Callan.
Honorable Begay, thank you. Second by
Freeland.
Honorable Freeland. Thank you. And Anna Finnegy. At this time, we'd like to have another motion and a second to go into executive session.
Motion, Chairman Stewart.
Honorable Stewart, motions, second by
Freeland.
Honorable Freeland. Miss Michelle Brown Yazzie, how much time do you need?
I would say 45 minutes to an hour, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we'll just say 1 hour. 1 hour, Chapiga. It is now 11:35. We'll come back at 12:35. So with this executive session, any comments or questions? None. Honorable Vice Chair Walker, how do you vote?
Chairman, I vote green.
Thank you. Honorable Begay?
Chairman Callan votes green. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Daniels?
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Freeland?
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Stewart?
Green.
We have a vote of 5 in favor, 0 opposed, chair not voting, motion carries. The number was sent to us, so call in that number. The people that will be on this call, this call will be restricted only for RDC, Resource and Development Committee members, and our colleagues on the call, Honorable Otto So, Honorable Nate Brown, as well as our staff, Mr. Tahi, Ms. Whitty, Ms. Khan, Ms. Yako. From Department of Justice, please mute your phones. Thank you. Ms. Michelle Brown Yazzie, Dr. Crystal Tully Cordova, and Ms. Brown Yazzie, who else did you want on the call?
We also have Cecilia Thomas from DOJ, and we also have Chair Jolyn Ashley from the Water Rights Commission that I'm aware of.
Okay. So those that were named off will be on this call, and please share that number just for them. Thank you very much. And also from the Office of the President, Vice President, Teresita, you're welcome to join us. Thank you. You may hang up and we'll be in an executive session now.